It's been confirmed, guys. Vice President Kamala Harris was allegedly using a teleprompter in the supposedly unscripted Univision Town Hall. Yeah, watch these guys panic as they turn it off and realize that the teleprompter is on camera. Seriously, you guys saw them turn off that teleprompter in a panic, right? Here, watch it again as the camera pans to the audience, briefly showing a teleprompter with words on it before it turns off.
Victim of crime. Are you a Republican? Are you a Democrat? The only question I ever asked is, are you okay? And sadly, we have seen over the last 2 weeks since Hurricane Helene.
My advice, guys, watch this entire video now and share it with as many people as you can, because they're starting to take down videos like ours showing this clip. They may even delete this video entirely soon. Conservative influencer Benny Johnson was able to grab it and share it on X, saying, "Breaking, Univision accidentally broadcast proof that Kamala Harris used a teleprompter at her town hall." Watch them panic when they realized that they were showing the teleprompter live on air. So the claims circulated elsewhere: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, including posts by Republican nominee Donald Trump's campaign and disbarred former Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani. So, as Giuliani said in his post, caught red-handed, Univision accidentally shows the teleprompter Kamala Harris is reading from word for word during her town hall on the network. The Trump War Room account also calling attention to the teleprompter with the eyes emoji. And hey, guys, this is not the first time that Kamala Harris has been caught in a very awkward moment with a teleprompter. Remember when former President Donald Trump pointed out her 32 days teleprompter freeze moment? Well, here's a reminder.
So 32 days. 32 days. Okay, we got some business to do. We got some business to do. All right. 32 days. And we know we will do it.
She was talking about 32 days to the election. And she goes, there are 32 days. Oh my God. I just lost a teller. 32. Then she, 32, 32, 32, 32. And I said, what the hell happened to her?
And as my uncle put it, anybody with any intelligence would probably never vote for this imposter. I mean, just compare it to when Donald Trump lost his teleprompter.
With you, we're at a point in our country's life that I think it's the most important election in the history of our country. I think there's never been anything as important. There's never been anything like it. And by the way, I want to tell you a funny story. Can I tell you one story before we leave? The teleprompter just went out. Just went out. I'm standing here, and I do most of it without the teleprompter. Isn't it nice to have somebody that doesn't need a teleprompter? These teleprompters. You know, it's very dangerous. You got to be careful. You know, teleprompters will often go out. And if you're a certain type of person like Joe Biden, what would he do with the teleprompter? He's no good when the teleprompter is on.
Trump was essentially unfazed. Just amazing. Meanwhile, less than a month from the 2024 U.S. presidential election, Kamala Harris is catching all kinds of flack for allegedly using teleprompters and denying it during a Univision Town Hall. So this just kind of goes to show how much of a panic the Democrats are in right now. Now that we're less than, 4 weeks away from the November 5th election, and polls are continuing to show a race that's almost too close to call. In fact, this Univision Town Hall, it was a pretty big deal since it was a Spanish language television network, and Hispanic voters could play a crucial role in some of the key swing states. But really, guys, even more controversial for me was this cover-up after. So first, the town hall host and journalist Enrique Acevedo, he claimed that the teleprompter displayed his introduction in Spanish and then switched to a timer, and that any claim to the contrary is just simply untrue. After Univision News president Daniel Coronell, he doubled down and confirmed that the teleprompter was for the host and that the text was in Spanish. He also said that Kamala Harris's teleprompter claim was not true and that the teleprompter that displays a text written in Spanish was a support element for the town hall moderator. He said that this was firsthand knowledge because he was in charge of the television program. But see, I don't know. I watched it, guys. The network streamed footage of the town hall on YouTube, and then later clips showed the teleprompter displaying a timer or a blank screen. Now, only time will tell if this cover story from the network will hold up, but I don't know. Let me just say this. There seems to be a lot of questions about Kamala Harris and teleprompters nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Now, it's just a little too curious to me. Now, apart from the 32 days freeze up moment, conservative commentators are also previously alleging that the vice president used a teleprompter during a live stream forum with Oprah Winfrey. But a Winfrey spokesperson said that while Oprah Winfrey used a teleprompter, Kamala Harris did not. Now, again, the mainstream media is covering up for the Democratic presidential nominee. I'm just saying. But let me know if you guys are noticing the same thing that I'm seeing here, guys. Just drop a quick yes in the comment section down below. Hit the like button and also show your support for the work that we do here. And hey, if you guys want to keep receiving the updates like this one, make sure to subscribe to the channel and tap that notification bell. All right. Also, if you want to take it a step further, if you want to join us over in our Patreon community to get early access to videos, no commercials, or even if you want to buy me a coffee, that's cool too. There are links I've left for you guys down below. All right. If you guys are all set, let's go ahead and continue with the video. Now, another very controversial moment from that Univision Town Hall, Vice President Kamala Harris finally confronting the question of her becoming the Democratic presidential nominee without actually going through the primary elections. And guys, this wasn't a reporter who asked it. It was actually an undecided voter at the Univision's town hall. In fact, the question was, you earn your candidacy without going through the normal process. That is, primary elections or through a caucus. He said that really caught his attention and that he also was concerned about the way that President Joe Biden was just pushed aside. So, for Kamala Harris, how could she actually clarify this, right? Well, Harris's answer basically confirmed how the upper crust of the party chose her instead of the people. She said President Joe Biden made a decision and supported her candidacy and urged her to run. From there, she claimed that she earned the Democratic nomination. Yeah, definitely some weak sauce, but it didn't stop there, guys. Now, again, she pointed to Donald Trump as the actual anti-democratic threat, saying how he would terminate the Constitution of the United States. Completely unfounded, I know. She mentioned the Fourth Amendment against unreasonable search and seizure by a government on you, the Fifth Amendment, the Sixth Amendment, but curiously enough, the Democrat did not mention the First Amendment, which guarantees freedom of speech, or even the Second Amendment codifying citizens' rights to bear arms. Was that an oversight, or was this an intentional lack of mentioning? Remember how they say Kamala Harris is going to be taking away our guns, and how they've been using lawfare to step on Donald Trump's right to freedom of speech? I'm just saying, it's kind of interesting how these two amendments are the ones that Kamala Harris fails to mention, isn't it? Maybe she's the one that's planning to delete the Constitution of the United States. But hey, yeah, this was just one of the highlights, or rather lowlights, of the event that was sponsored by the Spanish language network Univision. So the 1-hour program was recorded on the University of Nevada, Las Vegas campus and featured questions from Hispanics who said that they're undecided. They're still undecided about their next choice next month. In fact, the network flew in at least 2 voters from Florida and Wisconsin for the event. It was some very interesting stuff, actually. Voters asked their questions in Spanish and English, with moderator Enrique Acevedo providing Kamala Harris a translation when needed while she answered in English. So in the first question of the night, a voter from Tampa, Florida, asked Kamala Harris about rumors that the Biden-Harris administration did not do enough to respond to Hurricanes Helene and Milton, especially since former President Donald Trump called Joe Biden's response to the storms the worst hurricane response since Katrina. Kamala Harris's response was an attack, and it basically was an attack on Donald Trump and her critics, saying that anybody who's calling her out was essentially playing political games, and that any claims criticizing their hurricane response were just not accurate. To me, this was an underhanded attack at Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida. Then she tried moving the attention to corporations and companies that during crisis and emergencies jack up prices. Apparently, she doesn't understand basic economics and supply and demand, not to mention supply chain disruptions. This is clearly over her head. But yeah, if you guys are watching, you would see the audience was not impressed. Also on immigration, Kamala Harris wouldn't say how she would be different from Biden. Voters pressed Kamala Harris for specifics on her plans for immigration and how her policies would actually differ from President Joe Biden's. Instead of answering, she just kind of talked about her recent trip to visit the border in Arizona and her law enforcement career as a prosecutor and California Attorney General. She said she will not put her record up against anyone in terms of the work that I've always done, and it will always be to ensure that we have a secure border. That seems like like the boldest lie to everyone's faces that I've ever heard, but I think she's completely lost it at this point. I mean, a lot of critics would argue that when it comes to Kamala Harris's track record on immigration, there is no track record, but mayhem and damage. You know what I mean? Just look at what's happened. Then she tried pinning the blame on Donald Trump yet again for supposedly leading Republican opposition to a bipartisan border security deal that was endorsed by the National Border Patrol Council back in February. She says that the bill would have sent 1,500 additional Border Patrol agents to the border and provide law enforcement resources to combat fentanyl trafficking. But you know what? Republicans say that the border bill provided too many benefits to illegal immigrants, like work permits and taxpayer-funded attorneys, and it would have funded sanctuary city jurisdictions that do not cooperate with immigration enforcement. So yeah, her answer is definitely not flying with the voters, you know what I mean? But yeah, again guys, substance is definitely lacking here, which pretty much tells you everything that you need to know about Kamala Harris as a candidate. Now, if you guys noticed, the Democratic presidential candidate, she's been lacking, or rather, she's been leaning very hard on other well-known people in the party. In fact, it seems like she's hoping that famous fellow Democrats and appearances on friendly news media outlets will be enough to pull in her presidential campaign over the finish line, because the Kamala Harris honeymoon period has come and gone, as the latest series of polls are suggesting that Republican presidential candidate Donald J. Trump has the advantage in the race to the White House. Just recently, the same day that... So I worked in the IT field for years, and luckily I happen to work for a company where we do business with a lot of different vendors. And one of these vendors used to take us out to lunch on a very regular basis. Let's just say like maybe once a month, once every 2 months. But when I say they would take us out to lunch, they would take us out to lunch. I'm talking about they would take us to some of these really fancy restaurants that I would only hear about or I drive past them. But they were very expensive places. And I'll be honest with you guys, I just wasn't in a position where I was willing to pay that kind of money for food. They're very expensive. I'll just put it that way. Anyway, so one day we go to lunch, and right around, it was a late lunch. So right around, I don't know, like 1:30, 2 o'clock, we're leaving and we're waiting for the car to be pulled up because they have mandatory valet. So anyway, while we're waiting for our car to get pulled up, I'm staring at this beautiful black Ferrari 458, and I'm like, wow, this thing is crazy. I don't even get to see those kind of cars often. I don't know if it's just me being a car guy, but I just wonder sometimes, like, how do people afford these things? So after the valet pulls the car up, the owner starts walking towards it, and I just happen to say, hey man, that's a sharp car. So the owner turns around and says to me, thanks, I appreciate it. So then I say to him, since he seemed friendly, I was like, hey, is that your first Ferrari? So he turns around and he says, oh no, I have 6 more, but this is probably one of my favorite ones. I said 6 more? That response sparked a 2-minute conversation that I had with this guy. And let me tell you, what he shared with me in that brief 2-minute conversation completely changed my life. And it's life-changing conversations and lessons like this that I decided to share right inside of our Liberty Pursuit network. And to be honest with you, it really wasn't even so much the car that he was driving. It just made me think to myself, like, how does this guy just have the freedom to be able to live his life the way he did? Nice car, hanging out at a fancy restaurant in the middle of the afternoon. It really made me wonder, how do you do that? Anyway, when I was living paycheck to paycheck, I wish that I knew people like this that would kind of like let me know the inside scoop. So anyway, if you want to join like-minded people just like us, join us over in the Liberty Pursuit Network. I left a link for you guys in the description down below this video. That former President Barack Obama held his first rally for Harris in Pittsburgh. The campaign ground announced that another former chief executive, Bill Clinton, will make the case for Kamala Harris in Georgia and North Carolina. Kamala Harris' spokesperson even called him the big dog. They also mentioned what they called a significant ad buy on Philadelphia hip-hop and R&B focused stations in an apparent bid to shore up slipping black support. I know. And they called Donald Trump racist. Go figure. But yeah, guys, it really looks like there's no stopping Donald Trump now. The Real Clear Politics polling average has Donald Trump narrowly leading Kamala Harris in 5 of the 7 vital states that will decide this election: Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. Now, of those 5, only North Carolina went for Donald Trump in 2020. More concerning for the VP, the Wall Street Journal reported that even an internal poll conducted by Wisconsin Democrat Senator Tammy Baldwin's campaign showed showed Donald Trump in front of Kamala Harris by 3 percentage points, more than triple the Republicans' winning margin in the state of 0.77% over Hillary Clinton in 2016. The Trump campaign piled on by blasting out internal polls of the 7 swing states, showing him up 5 percentage points in Georgia, 3 percentage points in Arizona and Nevada, and a single percentage point in Michigan, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Longtime political journalist Mark Halperin even commented on his show recently how there are lots of Republicans, or not a significant number of Republicans, who are actually saying that the race is effectively over. Do you guys agree? Do you feel like Donald Trump's got this in the bag? Just drop me a quick yes or no in the comments down below, guys. I'd love to hear from you guys.
With all of that being said, I think it's very important to have debates, and we've agreed with Fox on a date of September 4th. We've agreed with NBC, fairly full agreement, subject to them, on September 10th. And we've agreed with ABC on September 25th. So we have those 3 dates, and those networks, they're very anxiously awaiting that date and those dates. So we have September 4th, September 10th, and September 25th. We have spoken to the heads of the network, and it's all been confirmed, other than some fairly minor details. Audience, some location, which city would we put it into, but all things that will be settled very easily, I think it'll be very easy. The other side has to agree to the terms. They may or may not agree. I don't know if they're going to agree. She hasn't done an interview. She can't do an interview. She's barely competent, and she can't do an interview. But I look forward to the debates because I think we have to set the record straight.
So the issue for her is that she would never in a million years go to Fox News for an interview. Why is that? The same way she turned down the initial offer from Donald Trump to have the first debate there. And yet Donald Trump has agreed to both CNN and ABC News, essentially going on Kamala Harris's turf. He destroyed Joe Biden in the CNN debate, and he had Kamala Harris reeling on ABC, even though 3 people were debating against him. It was the 3v1 situation. Y'all remember that debate, right? But now they're twisting the narrative again. They're calling out Donald Trump because he doesn't want to do another CNN debate. Now, if you ask me, it's a good call because CNN can't risk doing another debate where they call it right down the middle like they did with Joe Biden, because that would essentially end Kamala Harris's political career as well. They understand that they have to stack the odds against Trump, and Trump on his end is wisely picking his battles well. Now, what's funny is that CNN is now reporting that the former president should answer the call for another debate. Can't make this stuff up, guys. Check this out.
This just in, CNN has given the Trump and Harris campaigns a deadline to officially accept or reject an invitation to debate one another on CNN later this month. I want to get straight to CNN's Brian Stelter. Brian, what are we learning?
That's right. In practice, this is a deadline for Donald Trump, because as you'll recall, Dana, about 2 weeks ago, the Kamala Harris campaign immediately accepted CNN's offer for an October 23rd debate. Trump has been avoiding that offer. So now in a new statement, CNN is saying to both campaigns that there's a deadline coming up this Thursday at noon. After all, in order to hold a presidential debate, you have to organize it for days and weeks ahead of time. So CNN is saying if the campaigns want this to happen, they have to give a formal response by this Thursday at noon Eastern time. The Harris campaign has been trying to goad Trump into agreeing. Trump has claimed it's too late to have another debate. But in fact, that October 23rd date is right in line for when past presidential debates have taken place in past cycles. So now there's a 48-hour clock. We will see if the Trump campaign agrees or not. It'll be a shame if there's no more debate between these two candidates, because I, for one, have a lot more questions, and I think a lot of viewers do as well.
I mean, we're so close to Election Day, guys. Now, if you still have questions that haven't been answered by a candidate, then that's on you. You have to do your research and actually listen to what these two are actually saying. And when you guys share this video, it definitely helps out Donald Trump get a little bit closer to winning this presidential race. Why? Because we're enlightening folks. We're showing them the truth behind these elections. We're debunking the lies that Kamala Harris has been telling. And we're helping more undecided voters understand the truth about Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. So I just want to thank you guys so much for always sharing these videos. You guys totally help out the cause. And again, guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel channel and tap that notification bell. That way you won't miss out on any of our follow-up videos on this and all the news that matters this election season and beyond. All set? All right, guys. The next thing that I recommend is that you guys check out our other videos on the channel. We've been working overtime to give you guys the latest updates, and you definitely do not want to miss out on any of it. Now, I highly recommend our recent one where we showed Tim Walz bombing so bad that even Kamala Harris was embarrassed of that guy. For real, guys, check it out for yourself. But as always, thanks so much for watching and liking this video. Thank you for subscribing and sharing. I'll see y'all next.